What's up, YouTube? It's Matt. It's been almost 2 years since my last demo video, and I figured that since we're all locked down, just kind of patiently waiting around for the apocalypse, what better time to sit back and check out some cool, inexpensive guitar gear. Well, my friends over at Sonicake Pedals enjoyed my demo of their Twiggy Blues Sonicbar and sent me out this Rockstage Sonicbar to review. Now bear in mind, as always, I love reviewing gear priced for regular working folks. And even if a company sends me something for free, my opinions are my own, and I'll give you my working guitarist perspective at the end of this demo. So this pedal is designed to be an all-in-one solution for the guitarist, whether you're gigging, recording, or a home player. It has a ton of options, and we're going to explore all of them right now. I have it set up as I would use it in my real-world job as a music director. So it's basically a direct-to-PA solution with cab simulation turned on. So first, I'll let you hear my clean tone, straight into the mixer from a Fender Baja 50s Telecaster. Cool. That's just directly through the Rockstage here with no effects or anything, just straight into my recording software. So to start, I want to show you guys the chorus. Now to begin with, I'm going to set this to have a high depth so that you can hear the chorus pretty well, but a low speed so you're not going to get a ton of modulation. That sounds pretty cool to me. It's pretty solid. It's got a nice small amount of modulation to it, but the depth of the field of the sound is pretty good. So next up, I'm going to turn up the speed a little bit so you can get a little bit more of that chorus effect. How can you demo a chorus without playing that riff? You know what I'm saying? I think that this chorus on this pedal does a great job of that really awesome 90s chorus sound that's just so ubiquitous to that style of music. I'm going to turn it up even higher and do a little bit more 90s riffage, and you'll hear the modulation increase. That almost pushes into vibrato territory to me. Still really cool, still really usable, depending on the type of music you're playing and the situation you're in. But overall, I really dig that. I think that's a really cool sounding chorus. What's even cooler is if you turn down both the speed and the depth on it, it almost turns into a flanger. And I'm going to turn that down and play a little riff so you guys can hear what I'm talking about. Did you hear what I was getting at with that? It almost has a flangey effect on it instead of a chorus, which is really cool. I mean, it just adds a whole nother world to what you can get out of the chorus portion of this Rockstage pedal. All right, so next up, it's the bread and butter. It's sort of the make or break portion of the Rockstage pedal, and that's the rock amp portion. It's your preamp. It's going to give you all of your overdrive and gain settings. You'll find low gain tones on tap here for blues or maybe indie rock style, all the way up to some fairly high gain settings. But to start, we'll begin with low gain. I'll play a classic rock style riff, and I want you to listen to the difference between how it sounds when I'm hard strumming some chords and when I'm playing more articulated arpeggios. It's surprisingly touch responsive, and it cleans up really nicely at this setting. So check it out. Let's get started. I hope you guys could hear how touch responsive that overdrive was. I mean, it feels great under the fingers. It feels natural while you're playing. All in all, I really dig this preamp when it's at low gain settings. Next up, I'm going to turn the gain about halfway up, and to me, it sort of is reminiscent of like a low wattage Marshall amp with the power tubes starting to overdrive a little bit. So let me crank that up and you can check it out. Cool. If you've ever had the pleasure of cranking up a low wattage Marshall amp, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say there's a very distinct difference in tone between the power amp overdriving and the preamp overdriving. When you crank up the gain on this Rockstage pedal, I feel like it starts to touch that power amp fuzziness, and it's pretty cool that even at halfway up on the gain setting, you can get that tone. So finally, I'm going to crank up the gain all the way, let you hear how much it actually has on tap. It's quite a bit. It's more than I would use in my line of work as a guitarist, but it's cool to know that it's there. Check it out. So yeah, it's got some gain on tap. And like I said, totally cool if that's what you're into. Not exactly what I'm into, but it sounds pretty solid, especially considering that this pedal is like 90 bucks. You know, how can you beat that? You really can't. So next up, I'm going to turn off, actually, I'm going to turn down the gain back to a light overdrive and keep the rock amp on while I move into the delay section. So first up, I'm just going to show you guys an example of how you can really make this delay. It's very analog delay-ish sounding. I think it's totally cool. I'm just going to play a riff and let you guys hear how you can really make it work for you. So you can hear as that riff starts to trail off that signal is sort of breaking down. And that's exactly what an analog delay is supposed to do. So this pedal has that on tap, and honestly, it sounds great. In addition, you know, dotted eighth note delays, if you're a fan of that style of playing and the effect that it can have on some of your riffs, this pedal's got it in spades. It can handle that sort of stuff. Next up, I'm going to turn the repeats down, and I'm going to turn the time down and play something a little bit. I'm not going to go so far as to call it ambient because it's not ambient, but just something a little more atmospheric to show you how this pedal, just using delay in this way, can really help fatten up your sound and add some thickness to a riff that you're playing. So short repeats, not a huge delay time, but just a good way to add a lot of air and ambience behind a riff. Yeah, I enjoy that. Okay, and then finally, I'm going to show you, I'm going to cut down the time, I'm going to cut down the repeats and show you how it just works to fatten up your signal. A lot of people would consider this something maybe country-ish sounding in terms of the delay, but it really does a lot to just make the guitar stand out. Check it out. So yeah, just like what you would expect from a really high speed, low repeat delay, it does the job. Finally, I'm going to show you guys the reverb section. I'm just going to play 3 riffs and slowly turn up the reverb so you can see how much it has on tap. So that's it. That is just a small beginning of all of the sounds that you're going to be able to get out of this Sonicbar from Sonicake, the Rockstage pedal. As I said at the beginning of the video, guys, I'm going to give you my opinion on the pedal here at the end. So to preface this, this pedal is no more than $100 brand new. And for $100, the amount of effects and capabilities that you receive with this pedal, to me, is awesome. Now, bear in mind, I've been playing guitar for 20 years. I started in 2000, and that was an era that was before the plethora of awesome gear for cheap prices that we have now. I mean, I paid $300 for my first amp and guitar. The guitar was made out of plywood. The amp was horrible, you know, and so that's where I came from as a guitarist. And nowadays, to have these type of options for $100 is awesome to me. I'm a church musician. That's what I do for a living. So I play on silent stages. I go direct to PA every week. I don't have an amp. I'm primarily a Strymon Iridium user. I've got a small pedal board that I take with me. So having something like this in my gig bag, even if I'm a musician that uses amps, you know, that does covers or is playing, you know, reasonably sized venues every week and doesn't go direct to PA, it's so much easier to throw this in your gig bag and take it with you as a backup than hauling another tube amp, you know, another 50, 60 pound tube head along with you and hoping nothing goes wrong with it. You seriously can't beat it for the price. If there's any caveat that I have about it is I'm not a huge fan of the gain, the high gain sounds on here, and even the gain in general. It sounds a little too digital to me. The low overdrive tones, you know, the light overdrive, the touch sensitive overdrive settings, I dig. I can get along with those and I can make those work. But the further the gain gets cranked up, the more digital it sounds to me, which isn't great, but at the same time, your audience doesn't care. If you're playing bar gigs and everybody's 2 or 3 drinks in and they're just dancing and having a good time, do you think they care that your overdrive sounds a little digital? Heck no. And it'll save you a ton of time. It'll save you a ton of wear and tear on your back and shoulders, hauling that big amp to the gig. Overall, my final opinion, $100, you absolutely can't beat it. If you need a backup or just a pedal to mess around with for $100 with a ton of capabilities, pick one up. You can't beat it. I appreciate you guys watching my channel. Stay tuned. I actually have a bunch more stuff coming soon. So as always, please subscribe if you found this video useful. Thanks, guys.